Good Monday morning to y'all. A little past noon, Central Time in the U.S. We are looking at the dollar index to start the week here. Last week we fell back down into this demand zone that I was watching. Found buyers. We have pushed up, and the end of the week last week and then the beginning of this week we've kind of consolidated, and we appear to be pushing lower, breaking out of this consolidation slightly and pushing lower. We'll see if this demand zone holds again. Could double bottom, continue. I think for this week, the only level you're looking to push it to, if that occurs, if we get back down here, would probably be the 97 level. And then these highs, 97.20. Not sure if I would try and push it much higher than that this week. It does have room to the upside if in the longer term. If this demand zone can hold, we find buyers. But initial targets could be the 97 handle. So we'll see where that takes us. If we want a closer look in here, what this consolidation kind of looked like. Thought we might have been seeing a break to the upside, and we sold off pretty hard. Two nice down candles, and we're looking to put in another one from the US flows here. These would have been, I suppose these might have been the US flows, end of the European session, middle of the European session. The US is trying to put in another stronger candle to the downside. Let's move over to the S&P 500. Same story, consolidation. The supply zone that I mentioned reacted off of it. Could be going up for another test of that with this ascending triangle before it fills this gap here. Look to run it down to this area. Could find buyers. This could double bottom as well. The other option would be come all the way down to this demand zone down here, which I suppose could be another double bottom if we're looking at it from a higher time frame. Just break these lows just barely, come back down here. I still do think we should run up to this level before continuing lower. But we'll see. So that's the S&P. Now I wanted to move over to some current positions that I have on. Starting the pound Aussie. See, we've just been pretty much consolidating here as well. A lot of consolidation so far. Looking for a break one way or the other. This is where my stop loss is. Like to see this run down through, get up before this next demand level. If we do break to the downside, have to be mindful of possible double bottom forming here as well. So something to keep an eye on. Right now we're advancing upwards. Take it in here. The 1 hour time frame. It does look like it wants to move higher. Not significantly. It's not super bullish, but a little something like that. Looks like it wants to break up. Let's move over to the Euro Yen. We are seeing a little bit of a push in that. I got filled here off this demand zone. Just pretty much consolidated, tested it again. Now we're moving away from it. We have been up here 2 other times, and we've been sold into. Not to mention this supply level. So the plays that I'd be looking for in this, for continuation for the position I'm already in, we get this type of move right here. up through, and then test this from the other side. Test the supply zone as a demand zone, and then it's kind of also testing this wick structure right in here. Play that all the way up to the tops here. Not interested in going over that, trying to run it through that, because it's, as you can see, pretty significant level. Get out a little bit before it, take my profits hopefully. I do have my stop backed off of these lows, about 14 pips, I believe. 14 or 15 pips, just so I don't get stopped out on a push down into here. I wanted to actually forcefully break that if I'm going to be taken out in this position. I would have to see, for me to get bearish on this, I would have to see a full flush through there, and then you could possibly think about doing something like that, getting an entry there, running back down to these lows, however far you want to run it. That wouldn't be a terrible setup either, if you could find a place to put your stop up in here. If it were to roll over, consolidate, break lower, place the stop above that consolidation, and let it swing back into it, ride it down. So that's those two current positions that I'm in. Setups I'm looking at. This one is the Aussie dollar. This is what I'm looking for. We've been in this consolidation here. It did look like we wanted to break to the upside. Kind of have a supply zone right here, and we sold into that. So hopefully it stays in this consolidation so we can break it lower. It's a pretty clear target down to my target. The only thing I'd be worried about, I'd start watching it really closely around this level. Stops will get real tight. So this is just where I have a demand zone marked out. Doesn't mean that it can't turn around before that. Pretty significant level here, tested multiple times. So the stops are going to be very tight if I get in a position and it starts running down this far. I don't see any reason for it to not make it down to at least here. If this type of setup does occur, if it breaks to the downside, there's no reason why it shouldn't get back down here. Little pockets of demand in here intermittently, but nothing too significant. Pretty much the same setup on the Kiwi dollar. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention in the Aussie dollar. There's not really much of a play to the upside. I mean, you can play it to the upside. If you were to get something like so, break it back down, let it break back down in there, take a long position. There's just not as much room to run it to the upside. The path of least resistance is down, because if you run it up here, just by eyeing it up, it looks like you could get a 3-to-1 in there, roughly. But you do have this swing high to contend with, which is going to provide some resistance. So the easier play and the more attractive play is down. So yeah, over to the Kiwi dollar is pretty much the same exact setup. This one, I don't think that there's not an upside play here. It's only downside. The Aussie dollar setup is a little more attractive in my opinion. And I mean, kind of the same thing here. If it were to play out like this, kind of a significant level here that you need to be careful with. But this one's probably only at about a 2-to-1 versus on the Aussie dollar, where it's more 2.5-to-1 The line's a little bit more down here, closer to the target. So this setup, it is a setup, but it isn't as attractive. I would rather play the Aussie dollar on this one to the downside. And one more setup. I've never taken a trade on the peso, but caught my attention. We can break down through here, break the 50 EMA, pull back into this structure, run it back down. That's a 3-to-1. Take her down to the 1 hour. You can kind of see if we can break it to the downside. It's kind of a little supply zone here. That would be a nice spot to get in if we do get a strong push out, and it would make me feel more confident with this swing low, and then a supply zone here. It would add confidence to a trade like this. And yeah, you want to get out ahead of this demand zone down here. This could be troublesome, but it's pretty close to the target. You have to watch it closely down there. I do have my stop. I would like it to be above there, but at the same time, if this is a supply zone that's created, I feel a little bit more comfortable being able to lower it down, just because otherwise, if I have it above there, I need a profit target down in here somewhere, deeper into this demand zone, which I'm not really interested in doing. Again, I probably won't even end up taking this because I don't trade the peso. It just caught my eye, and kind of just drew it on there. We'll see how it goes. So for now, that's all we're going to be concerned with. See the euro yen kind of pushing up. Big decision moment right here. Are we going to get a double top? Are we going to roll over? Or are we going to be able to push through this? So I'll be watching this one closely. Alright guys, take care and have a good week trading.